heard from his position. So
perhaps the best thing, because I had the impression too that he actually said he doesn't know, but perhaps in order to avoid readings and readings with a witness who say he doesn't know, perhaps the best thing is to ask him, we recognize you were not there, you don't know yourself, did you hear anything about that? And perhaps we can then stop reading documents.
Mr. Witness, did you hear anything about Vietnamese attacks? Let me be more specific. Did you hear anything about Vietnamese attacks in the night of 22nd of January 1976?
No, I did not know about that.
For your information, just to be complete, I was referring to document E3/887, which I will not confront the witness with. That is dealing with a Vietnamese attack, a secret Vietnamese attack in the night. Let me now move on to other issues that Cham Se and Peep discussed with the investigators of DC Cam. Mr. Witness, did you ever hear anything about a rebellion within the CPK?
No, I do not understand.
What is it that you don't understand? You don't understand my question, or you don't know anything about a rebellion?
I do not understand the question, especially about the rebellion that you said.
Well, I'm obliged to ask you general questions first before I can be more specific. But do you know anything about troops from Division 920 or troops from Division 801 being involved in an armed rebellion to topple the DK government, the storage of weapons, attacks on Radio Phnom Penh, attacks on Pochotong Airport, coup d'etats, attempts to poison or to shoot Pol Pot and Nguyen Chia, and all of this with the support of Vietnam. Have you ever heard anything about this while you were in Division 801?
President, Mr. Witness, please hold on. And the International Deputy Co-Prosecutor, you may have the floor.
Merci, Monsieur.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have the impression that the defense, in putting this question, is taking for granted the fact that all the facts that the witness, all the facts that he has described, which we consider not well established, are not truthful. So the counsel should be very careful in using the conditional, because these are not established facts. He shouldn't mislead the witness by giving the impression before this chamber that these facts are established. But he should bear in mind that the witness is not aware of this as facts. And so I'm objecting to this question.
I do not understand this objection at all, to be honest, Mr. President. I don't think we have established any facts so far. And if you have, please let me know. We have a problem. We are in the business, Mr. Prosecutor, of establishing facts here. But I'm quoting from Sam Hoon's testimony before the chamber here when I speak about storage of weapons in warehouses, attacking Phnom Penh Airport and the radio station. But more problematic is I'm happy now to go to the more specific excerpts from Cham Say and Peep's statement, but then I'm getting accused of reading documents again. So please let me know what I should do.
The way I understood the question, you were trying to figure out if he has heard of any of those things you mentioned. So
Exactly.
basically to check out where to go and if to go anywhere further. Is that?
That is exactly my intention. I presume I'm allowed this question. I'll repeat it, Mr. Witness. I was asking you about a rebellion within the CPK and within divisions of the Revolutionary Army. I made it more concrete and asked you whether you have heard anything about failed attempts to attack Pochentong Airport, Radio Phnom Penh, attempts to stage a coup d'etat against Pol Pot, attempts to either poison or kill Pol Pot and others. Any form of rebellion within the CPK or within the revolutionary forces, all this backed up and supported by Vietnam. Have you ever heard of anything of this?
No, I did not know about this.
Are you sure, Mr. Witness? Because you are the number 2 or 3 of Okan Seng Security Center. You were in charge, I believe, in interrogation of prisoners. Is it your testimony that you do not know anything about an alleged rebellion or about a factual rebellion?
I worked at the security center, so my knowledge was not broad about situation outside the security center.
Well, let me see if I can refresh your memory, and I'm obliged to now read a few excerpts from Peep and Cham Say's testimony before DC Chem. Mr. President, I'm referring again to E319/23.4.1. It doesn't have an E3 number yet, as I understand. More particularly, I'm referring to English ERN 01079524 and subsequently, and Khmer 00932019. Peep is saying the following, Mr. Witness. Division 14 controlled the Royal Palace. Other places were also controlled by Division 14. Pol Pot trusted Tassan very much because Tassan's division took care of his security and safety. Sao Pim actually wanted to destroy Pol Pot from the time of the victory over Phnom Penh. However, there were Tassan and Tarun. Those two Tao? Answer yes. Sao Pim held a bigger position in the party. Now let me zoom in on this, Mr. Witness. Peep, Cham Say's wife, is talking about Sao Pim, the leader of the East Zone, wanting to destroy Pol Pot from the time of the victory over Phnom Penh. But she seems to suggest that Tassan and Tarun were there to assist and help Pol Pot prevent this. Does that somehow jog your memory?
President, Mr. Witness, please hold on. The International Deputy Co-Prosecutor, you may have the floor.
Merci, Monsieur le Président.
Thank you, Mr. President. I think it would be interesting to read the source of that passage. The page in English is 01079527. If we read that passage, we will understand that the soldier says that the information was obtained by tip, and he says,
And they confessed. Je crois que c'est un élément important à rajouter à cette question.
this is an important element to add to this question, because these people only heard this as second-hand information from someone else, so it's not from them. They were not eyewitnesses.
I'm really very unclear as to why the prosecution keeps on sabotaging this line of questions. This is something that she volunteers. Cham Say agrees with it. There's no mention of confessions in relation to this particular excerpt. Plus, why should it be only confessions that are the source of information? There are so many other possible sources in relation to this rebellion. We actually heard a lot of testimony in this court. So, being the testimony from Cham Say and his wife, talking directly about 801 commanders, I believe, Mr. President, that I'm able and should be entitled to confront the witness with this excerpt. And if you can give a reaction, if you can, then I'll move on to the next.
I don't think there was an objection. I heard an observation, no? You just wanted the record to be clear. I think it is.
Well, I don't think the record is clear because she doesn't say it.
President, I would like to give the floor to Judge Lavin.
Yes, I need to have some clarifications, Mr. Kope. Apparently, in the interview, we have no sources. These are confessions that could be from S21. That is what I understood from what the co-prosecutor said. Do we have any mention of other sources, that is sources other than the confessions, or is it just rumor?
Well, Cham Say's wife volunteered this information. There was no specific question as to the sources of her knowledge. So, presuming that this was based on confession doesn't really make any sense, because she wasn't involved in S21. She wasn't involved in any security center. There's no evidence that she even read one of those confessions. And if you see the other things that she's saying about the task of Division 801 in protecting Pol Pot, I believe that the information might be hers, or the sources of her knowledge might be other things than confessions. However, I don't think we ever ask witnesses who are inculpatory what their sources are. So the moment if it's exculpatory, we're all of a sudden very diligent when it comes to finding sources. So again, Mr. President, I think I should be able to confront this witness, who is a Division 108 combatant, with Peep's and Chamse's statement.
President, I'd like to give the floor to Judge co-defense.
The chamber is at the moment, at least not in the short time, not able to determine whether this part is based on information that is torture tainted. For this reason, Mr. Prosecutor, could you please be very clear and specify the part of the statement that in your opinion shows that the information is based on torture? We would then ask the defense counsel for the time being to move ahead, and after the break we'll give a decision on whether you can use this statement or not. Mr. Prosecutor, please.
Merci. L'extrait.
Thank you. The excerpt that was read out by the counsel is 2 pages before the excerpt that I read out, and in reality there are 2 pages that are based on what
might have happened against the power in place, and in particular the role of the East Zone in this process. So the question that was put at the end of this part of the interview, the question that's put to PEEP